What's up, crafters? Quick recap on our text journey so far.
We took regular text, turned it into an SVG. We paired some text, so we've got our Bloody Halloween with a super nice script font. We also added extra glyphs in our font, the little swooshy font things that everyone loves. We also thickened up our fonts and made it super juicy. This time, we are going to go even further.
Are you ready? Open up your favorite vector program and let's go. So we are inside of my preferred vector program, which is Adobe Illustrator. The fonts that we use, we have Inked Blood and Storytelling. Both of these are going to be linked down below. They are free. They're available over at fontbundles.net, so you can grab these and follow along with me. Now, why would you want to create a layered text situation, right?
So you have something like this where you've got your text, we create a background behind it so that it stands out just a little bit more. We have layered names, which is another super popular thing, especially if you are selling personalized merchandise. We have something like this, you know, if you're trying to go super extra and catch all of the cool SVGs that you can create. We also have something like this where you're creating layers on sports jerseys and stuff like that.
Regardless of the reason why you're trying to do this layer thing, let's just get into it. Let me show you how you can create those cool things. This is my working document. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between this and a new document. You guys aren't going to have all this extra stuff here. So let's go to create a new document, file in the top left-hand corner, new. These are my settings. I'm working on a 6" by 6" canvas board. I've got CMYK color profile, 300 DPI. These things haven't failed me yet. So this is what I'm rolling with. You are more than welcome to mess around with those things to get it to fit the projects that you're working on. When you guys are doing your thing, you are going to want to save the original document. We save original files because in case, you misspell something, I'm not the best at spelling, I make sure to save an original file with the text and things still intact before I do anything. So if I do make a mistake, I can come back at a later date and fix it. When you save it, you can either go up to File and go to Save As, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-S, and that will pull up this screen here. Let me move this real quick so you guys can see this. You are going to save the title, and you're going to save it as an Illustrator file, this AI. The other programs have different extensions. Affinity was Affinity Designer. Inkscape was SVG Inkscape or Inkscape SVG, something like that. Just make sure that if you're using one of those other ones, you have something to help you distinguish. You can even add original at the end of it or O, just so that you can easily pinpoint that design. So we are going to save that out. These are my default settings. I never changed them. Everything's worked okay. Nothing has exploded. So I'm just going to assume that it's all good. So we hit okay. Let me move this back down here so I'm not all up in the way. All right, so you guys are going to work in here and I'm going to flip back over to this thing. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is copy this thing. We're going to slide this out of the way. We're going to take our text here and we are going to right click and go to create outlines. All right, so now that we have our outlines created, we're going to select both of those and we are going to go over to stroke. And you guys can either use these up and down arrows here to increase or decrease the stroke. You can use this drop down menu or you can type something in. I'm going to go with this 10. That's a 10. I'm going to go with this 10 and I'm pretty happy with how that's looking right now. So in order to get this outline as a vector thing, what we are going to do is go up to Object, go to Path, and Outline Stroke. So we're going to go over to our Pathfinder tool and click on Unite. That is going to turn everything into one solid shape. Now, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can look at this a little bit more. As you can see, there are some areas where it's kind of left some little nodes in there. We need to get rid of these because your Cricut machine will cut those pieces. I know that it's not cutting out a solid shape, but we don't want any kind of tears in our vinyl when we go to use these. So we are actually going to select that. These two arrows up here, these are your selection tools. They actually have different purposes. So this outlined version If you click on this, it will move the entire shape. Whatever it is, it will move the entire thing. We don't want that one. What we actually want to use is this filled in arrow. So this filled in arrow up here is actually going to allow us to grab the nodes. As you can see, when you select the thing, there's a bunch of blue boxes that kind of like highlight around everything. These blue boxes are the nodes. This is the pinpoints that your Cricut machine or your vinyl cutter is going to go to when it's cutting the design. It's looking for those exact coordinates. So if we grab one of these nodes, we can actually drag it, move it around. We can really manipulate that thing. So using this selection tool, we can go in and pinpoint just those specific pieces and delete those. So we're going to delete those extra nodes there, this extra set here. Let's zoom out and see if there was any other stragglers. Looks like we have this one here. So we can delete that. And those seem to be all of the extra pieces, at least the ones that were inside of our text itself that we really don't want to cut. All right, so bringing our text in from earlier, let's go ahead and create our outlines.
And move these up to the top. Now let's change our color so that we can kind of see it a little bit better. We'll go with a orange, or actually let's go with like a purple and a green. So we'll change this here to a purple, and then our Halloween to the green. Now because we moved our letters around, let's go ahead and adjust that. And that looks, I'm cool with this. Everything looks good.
All right, so now that we have our outlined layer thing, what we're going to do is make some adjustments to the outline because it did kind of create some weird spots in it. So zooming back in, what we are going to do is use our direct selection tool, and we're actually just going to delete this node. So in order to delete the node, what we're actually going to do is select the outline itself, and we're going to hit the minus key on the keyboard. You're going to see that the cursor is actually going to change. You can now see a little minus sign. Same way if you were to hit the plus sign, that cursor is going to change. So this is going to allow you to add or subtract those nodes. So because we're looking to subtract the node, we're going to hit that minus key, and we're actually just going to click on the box. And as you can see, that node is now gone. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and see if there was any other weird areas that we want to get rid of. This here we can kind of get rid of. Zoom back out. And I'm not seeing anything else that kind of like stands out in an annoying way. All right, so I've copied this into the working document that you guys are on just so that I can walk you guys through the process of saving this out. We're going to go to Control-Shift-S, or you guys can go to File, Save As. Now, I'm going to move this once more. We are going to now use this Save As type, and we are going to drop down to our SVG. We're going to hit Save, click OK, and we're going to slide on over to Cricut Design Space. We're going to go to
Upload, upload image, browse. Here's our layered text. Add to canvas.
So y'all have created your 5th SVG now. How you guys feeling? Tell me, how are you feeling? Because I hope you're feeling amazing. Y'all are doing some amazing things right now. Let's continue on. So another way that you guys can use layering fonts is creating an outline of that layered font. This is perfect for cake toppers because it gives you that extra dimension that makes those cake toppers really interesting. This is also perfect if you're creating those little shaker cards by using a plastic sheet. You can actually add little sequins and glitters and really make a lot of fun best of things. I actually took our inked blood font and created this design here where we have a spider web outline over top of a thick orange design. And honestly, this thing was really easy to create, so let me show you how to do that. Inside of your blank document, you are going to use the inked blood font and you're just going to type out 31. Now that this is typed out, I always recommend that you guys save that original file. So go up to File, Save As, or Control Shift S. And I want you guys to type out whatever it is that you're looking to save this as. Make sure that you're saving your file type as an AI file or your original default program file. And now the next step is to duplicate this text. The first thing we need to do is create an outline of both of these. So selecting both of them, right click, create an outline. So we now have an orange design and a black design. So what we're going to do now is go to these boxes to the left, the fill and the stroke. Right now this is filled in black. If you hit that little arrow there, it'll actually allow you to change that immediately into an outline. You can also do that by going over to the appearance on the right hand side. It was on fill. If you go to stroke and take out the fill, you have the same effect. So it is absolutely no secret that this is going to be way too thin. So let's go ahead and bump this up a little bit. I think a 5 looks pretty good. Now keep that mental note that we did use a stroke of 5. We're going to select this, go up to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. So now we have a vector version of our 31. I did tell you to make a mental note of your stroke path because we need to create that same stroke around this. So we are going to go up to 5. We're going to hide our black outline real quick. We're going to go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. We're going to go to our Pathfinder and unite that. And we're going to turn this back to our orange color. So we now have our black outline and our orange center text. Let's go ahead and select both of these, slide on over to Properties and align in the center so that the text is exactly where we need it. Now you guys can stop here if this is all you're wanting to do, or we can go ahead and do a little bit extra and add that cool spider web. Using the paintbrush tool on the left hand side, we can actually click and drag to draw different shapes. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just kind of randomly start putting in the spider web shape.
Then we connect this to one corner, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You guys are more than welcome to straighten this out if you want. And then we just continue along the path, creating our little curves in our spider web.
Now, if you guys want to make some adjustments, you can actually go in by using that direct selection tool, and you can see the path that we've just created and kind of move these around to get rid of some of those extra bumps or clean up any missing gaps. So now that we've created our spider web, what we need to do is turn all of those paths there into vector shapes. So what we're going to do is hide our bottom 2 layers, our 31, leaving only the spider webs themselves. We're going to go ahead and click and drag, selecting everything on the screen, and go up to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. So this has now turned those lined paths into shapes. We're going to go to our Properties and Pathfinder tool, and we're going to hit Unite. This has now turned all of those individual brush strokes that we've created into one solid shape. Going back to our layers and unhiding the black outline, let's go ahead and unite those two, and we can unhide our orange text layer. You now have an outline spiderweb, and the bottom base. Y'all ready to throw it into Cricut Design Space? Save it as an SVG. Make sure you're changing that file type. Clicking OK. Sliding back on over. Go to upload image. Look at that. You guys have created yet another layered design. You have your solid shape. You have your outline shape. I'm so excited for y'all. So another way that you guys can take the whole layering fonts and stuff is if you layer them and then slice them out from each other. This is kind of going to create like a puzzle in a way. It will limit the amount of actual vinyl layers. It comes in handy, especially when you're dealing with HTV, because the more layers you add on the HTV, the kind of bulkier it gets. And even with regular vinyl, the more layers you have, the bulkier it gets. Sometimes it's just a pain in the butt to have to deal with that many layers. So slicing the items out from each other actually helps in that regards. And it's actually a lot easier than it sounds to accomplish. So let's pop on over using that same Happy Halloween that we've been using in our blank document. Go to File, Save As. We're saving our original files. Make sure that it is that Illustrator file. All right, so now that our original file has been saved, let's go ahead and convert this text. Right click, go to Create Outline, and let's move this down here a little bit so that our text is going into the second line of text. I'm pretty content with how this looks, so I'm going to go ahead outline the stroke here because I did use the thicker version of the Happy. I'm going to unite that, and we now have our two layers. We have our green text and our purple text. So in order to slice out our text, what we're going to do is select both of these. We're going to slide on over to Pathfinder. We've been using this unite thing, which merges everything together. What we're actually going to do now is hit these three little dots here. It's going to bring in some additional options. We are going to go with the second one here, which is going to be trim. Trim is going to take that green layer of text and cut everything out from behind it. So we are going to hit trim. So hitting trim is actually going to put everything inside of one group. So now that we have trimmed our stuff, you can actually move this text item here and you can see the results of that trim. You've cut out the green from the purple, which is exactly what we were looking for. And when you go to layer this design, you're not going to have to overlap anything at all, which is really beautiful. However, we cannot just leave it exactly like it is right now. If we slide on over to layers, you can see we have our two green layers, our H and our Happy. We have all of our purple letters, and then we have these random shapes down here. If you were to save this out and upload it into Cricut Design Space, it would look like this. So this looks chaotic. When we slice that out, it created these empty cells of shapes in all of the closed gaps. So what we're actually going to do is delete all of these empty cells here. You can click this top one and holding down the shift key, click the very bottom one and then hit the trash can, and that will clear up all of that stuff. So now we're only left with our green text and our purple text. So what I would personally do is actually group this by color. So by selecting the object, we're actually going to right click and go to ungroup. We're going to select our green text here, go to Control G, and that will automatically group our green. And then we're going to select all of our purple, Control G, or right click and group, and that will bring all of our purple into one group. So now we can move our purple and our green freely inside of Illustrator and even freely inside of Cricut Design Space. So let's save this SVG out. So uploading this inside of Cricut Design Space, you can see how much nicer it looks without those empty cells. This is so important if you're planning on selling these to earn a passive income, especially for new crafters. This would be a huge turnoff. I would personally think that something was broken. So cleaning those things out, this looks like a really clean and functioning design right out the gate. So another way that we can use that slice feature outside of the kiss cut that we just created is adding an additional outline and giving us some more buffer in between the happy text and that Halloween. Not only is this an artistic choice, but it can actually help even more with layering. I know that not all the time am I seamless in my lineups, so by creating a little bit of a buffer around everything, it kind of masks any little flaws that might pop up. So let's take this top text here. We're going to create a copy of this. You do that by Control C, Control V. We're going to go on over to properties and we're going to create a little bit of a stroke. So I'm going to use white just to show you guys what I'm talking about. And we're going to bring this back over. As you can see here, we've kind of created a little bit of a gap, which, like I said, if you're not seamless in the whole lining things up, even a little bit off on the kiss cut could make for like a blatantly obvious, like, oh my gosh, there's a mistake here. But creating a gap like this makes it a little less obvious. So let me hide this top layer of text. And the layer that we have our white outline on, we're going to go up to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, go back over to our properties, and we're going to merge all of that together. So now we have a white happy and then our purple Halloween text. Selecting both of those, we're going to go to our Pathfinder tool, hit those three little dots, and we're going to use our trim feature once more. Tapping that, go on over to layers. You can see these top two things here. This is going to be our white text. And then we have all of those bottom empty shapes. So the first thing that we want to do, get rid of all these empty shapes. And we're actually going to get rid of that white text because we have our green text here. Since both of these are already in groups, we can go ahead and save this out. So as you guys can see, we now have our buffer around our text happy as opposed to the perfect kiss cut slicing in this text down. So just to recap on everything that we've done so far, you guys have created a layered design where you have one background color and multiple colors on top. You guys have also created a stacked layered design where you have an outline and a solid background. You guys have created a kiss cut layered design to help minimize the amount of layers that you have. You guys have also created a design where it has given you a buffer to help make up for any teeny tiny mistakes that we make along the way as crafters, because let's be real here, these are all handmade. We are not a mass production. I hope that you are glowing right now with like positivity, knowing that you guys are kicking butt and taking names. So I'm sure that you guys have seen these stacked designs like this, but do you realize how ridiculously easy it is to create your own? So sticking with the whole Halloween themed and our inked blood font, we're gonna go ahead and go with spooky. Make sure you guys are saving your original files so that you can later edit them if you need to. We're gonna go to File, Save As. I'm gonna go with spooky stacked. This file type for Illustrator users, you're going to want to use the AI extension. Affinity, I want to say, is Affinity Designer. We have Inkscape, SVG, whatever it is, just make sure that it is easy to recognize that it is an original. So now that our original has been saved, we're actually going to right click this thing and go to Create Outline. This is going to turn our text into shape. So I'm going to show you how to do the stacked font in two different ways. We're going to do filled in font, and then we're also going to do the outline font, which is what you see a lot of. So let's duplicate this once more. We're going to drag one to the top and one towards the bottom. On the right hand side, you might see a tool that looks like this. It's just a tiny little line. We're going to select that, right click it, and we're going to pull up the rectangle tool. We're going to click and drag a box shape about the width of our spooky. Let's go ahead and change this color so it's easier for us to see. And we're going to kind of drag it to where it takes up about half. And that looks about right. If you use that outline feature on the left-hand side, you can kind of get a better idea. Let's go ahead and copy and paste another one, and that seems good. Alright, so we need to take both of these rectangles and send them to the back. We're going to select both of them, right click, and go to Arrange and Send to the Back. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut, Control Shift, and then like that hard that hard parentheses thing. So go to Send to the Back, and let's go ahead and turn these back into actual shapes with a fill. This top thing here is going to be our outlined stacked text, and this bottom one is going to be the filled in one. Let's select the top text section and go to the left hand side, and we are going to use that little swap. We're going to use the little swap arrows, and that is going to take us from a fill to an outline. Or you guys can also go to the appearance thing. Make sure you're using this box here. This is letting the program know, like, no, we don't want any kind of fill. And we're going to go to stroke and make sure that we have I want to thicken this line up, so we're actually going to go in with a 3.
And let's go ahead and move some of these over just a little bit. They don't want the text on top of each other.
Now we do need to make an adjustment to this box in the background here. But now we have an outline version of our spooky and then the filled in version of our spooky. We're going to select the outline, and we're going to go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, and that has taken that stroke and turned it into a shape. Alright, so we're going to take this top section here, and we're actually going to go over to Pathfinder. We're going to hit those 3 little dots, and we are going to go to Divide. We're going to follow that same procedure for the bottom one, and we're going to go to Divide. Alright, so going on over to the layers, we can see that we have our text itself that's been sliced out. Then we have our red version, and then we have these empty cells. The first thing that we want to do, as always, get rid of those empty cells. It's just going to make your final project, once you upload it into Cricut Design Space, look a hot mess, and we are not trying to do that. The next thing that we want to do is get rid of all that red text. So now that those extra pieces have been weeded out, we can actually right click this and alright, so the first thing that we want to do is group our text back together, but we're actually going to group it by top section and then by bottom section. So the first thing that we want to do is group our text back together, but we're going to rearrange how the grouping went. So we're actually going to click up here and kind of drag over our top section, going to hit Control G, and that will group our top piece. And then we're going to do the same thing with this bottom piece, Control G, and now we've grouped our bottom. Now we don't want our stuff to kind of like move anywhere, so we're actually just going to use the keyboard arrows, and we're going to move down a few, just long enough so that we can fit this in here. So moving this down, let's move this up, and now we're going to group this back together.
Same thing down here. Let's open up this section. Let's get rid of the red and those empty cells. Right click and ungroup, then drag and group our top portion, then drag and group our bottom portion. Moving this up and this down. Let's make sure this will fit. And it does. So then we group this entire thing together here. And now we can move in our regular text.
And let's change it to make it a little more festive. So we've got red, and let's go for an orange. Y'all, you guys, I don't even know what to say anymore. Y'all just out here doing your thing. Let's go ahead and save this. Control Shift S. Let's save it as the SVG. Show you what it looks like inside of Cricut Design Space, so y'all know that you done the thing. So now we are uploading inside of Cricut Design Space, and I'm just saying, y'all probably feeling so cocky right now, aren't you? Y'all just think you on top of the world, that you can just go conquer all the things. You can absolutely go conquer all the things. But like, how freaking cool is this? You guys have done so much in this one. Like, I know that I'm feeling good, And I already know how to do this stuff. I cannot imagine how y'all are feeling right now. You've created yet another SVG. What's next? What's next for you? You gonna go fight a bear? Don't fight a bear. Don't actually go fight a bear. I don't recommend that. But like, I mean, come on now. Y'all got another SVG under your belt. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling confident? You should. You should absolutely be feeling confident. We've been working on welding for a little bit. We've welded our outlines to make our fonts thicker. We kind of played with welding with this spider web design that we created with the 31. Let's do it one more time. This time, let's create some bat wings and add it to this bat text down below. So using our paintbrush tool from earlier, let's go ahead and start drawing in our
bat wings. Remember, you guys can use the filled in direct selection arrow and make some adjustments by clicking on the node boxes or using the handles to kind of edit the curve a little bit.
And selecting all of the paintbrush strokes that we just did, go to Objects, Path, Outline Stroke. We're going to weld this stuff together, and now we have our cute little bat wing. I'm going to go ahead and move everything over into a blank document, File, Save As. Make sure you're saving the original file. Make sure it's the AI file, guys. So I'm actually going to get rid of this centerpiece. So now we have just a thick bat wing that's filled in. Gonna shrink down our bat text. Let's copy and paste this bat wing. Right click, transform, reflect, so that, and make sure that that axis is vertical so that it just kind of falls over. So now we have bat wings. Alright, so we have our two little bat wings and our bat text, and honestly I just got an idea. So let me drive back on over to here, grab our cursive text. There we go, guys. It's freaking bats! I love Halloween. So we've got this design now, and we can make some adjustments. Make sure that you're saving the original file since we added extra text. So now that the original is saved with our text intact, let's go ahead and change out the text to shapes. Select all of the text and go to right click and create outlines. And let's make some adjustments to how these letters sit in the spacing.
These things, we've got those gaps closed up just a little bit. Let me go ahead and move this up some, and I'm actually going to slice this out. So I'm going to create a duplicate layer and really thicken this one up. I'll go with a 2 here. Path, outline our stroke. Let me turn this white to make sure that it is the way that I want it to be, and it ends up where I want it to be. Center these text selections. I'll drop this down. Let's drop this down just a little bit.
Alright, since we have these bat wings, let's go ahead and make a couple of bats to fill in these little gaps. So I'm going to bring these two wings close together. Going over to that shape tool, let's right click it and we'll go to circle and kind of create just a weird-ish shape. Let's create his little ears using the paintbrush.
Cut, outline, weld those together. Get these little parts place. Weld those shapes once more. Get rid of these gaps using that direct selection tool. And now we have a back. Shrink them up a little bit. Add another one. Do a little bit of rotating. I don't feel like with this design you could have too many backs. So
now we've got the top section filled in a little bit. We're using the heck out of that welding tool. Let's go ahead and go to Object. Let's select the freaking text, go up to Path, Outline Stroke, once again, Pathfinder, Unite. Let's select our bat text and our bat wings, Pathfinder, Unite. Let me hide our text here.
Alright, so let me hide this text. Let's grab our white outline and our bats. Go over to Pathfinder. Let's go ahead and do trim here. Go over to layers. We delete the white text because we don't need that. All these empty shapes here. Unhide our Halloween text. We need to object, path, outline, stroke there. Let's weld that since it's thicker.
I'm just saying, y'all know what to do now. Let's go ahead and save it. Control-Shift-S. Bat wings. Okay. And would you look at that? You guys have done another SVG. And it's so cute. Like, it's just so stinking cute. It's freaking bats. Oh, I love this for you guys so much. So we're going to end this video here. You guys have already created so many amazing designs, all text-based, with a little bit of extra things towards the end of there, especially in that it's freaking bats design. So there's a few more text things that I want to show you guys, but I'm going to wait until the next video to touch on those moments. And after we close our text feature chapter, we are going to move on to creating SVGs with shape. So go ahead and meet me in this last video over here with creating SVGs with text.